Well, happy Tuesday, everyone. I am so excited to have you here today to meet Miss Laura Funk. Hello, Laura.
Hi.
Laura is joining us for our next advocacy interview. Laura is out of Raleigh, North Carolina, and she has been a part of Identity Mission for how long? 2 years?
Yeah, a couple years.
A couple years at least. Okay, good. I'm glad you don't remember either. So time flies when you're having fun, and we have loved having Laura a part of our advocacy team and volunteer group. I'm going to let her tell you more about that. We're just going to jump right in and ask Laura to share with you how she first came to learn about the work of Identity Mission.
Awesome. Yeah. So I first heard about the work of Identity Mission through Erica and Steven Switzer. I remember I probably had heard about it from a distance before I got to know them really well. But I remember the first time I ever hung out with Erica one-on-one, we were just kind of talking about our lives and getting to know each other. And she shared with me about identity and kind of about her hopes and dreams for moving to Honduras one day and what that might look like. And that's where my very first interaction with identity began. And then I just started to get to know a little bit more and more as the days went on.
Very cool. It's not the first time Erica and Steven have been mentioned as being a connection. Yeah. So just another note on advocacy, right? The more you talk, the more you share, the more people start to understand the mission that God's doing and get, passionate about it as well. So I love hearing that. And then what was your first step of participation, would you say, with identity?
Yeah, I think my first step of participation was definitely, I don't know, intermittent giving, occasional giving here or there. Like our students ministry at our church would serve with you guys and travel down to Honduras. And so I remember, one time the different small groups were collecting items that were needed by some of the foster families. And so as a small group, we had certain things we were supposed to be collecting or trying to sponsor teens for the retreat, things like that, where we were just like occasionally here or there raising money or collecting items. And then probably my first like deeper dive into was when I was asked to be, I guess, an advocate or one of the people working on the December campaign to help, spread the word of the work that you guys were doing and help to raise money for the end of the year campaign. And that's when I like really jumped in, I would say.
Yeah. And I love that. Just a note to everyone, kind of that just started up, I guess, 2 years ago, approximately, where individuals can run their own campaign during December. And so I just love how people grabbed onto that and said, this is my thing. I'm going to raise this amount towards that campaign. That campaign in December just really funds us for our budget for the whole year and impacts the ministry a ton. And so Laura has done that campaign, and it's fun. It has your picture on it, and it's all about like your passion and you passing that on to others. And I really like that. But you have taken a further step of engagement, Laura, which has benefited myself personally a ton because you've started partnering with us and engaging in identity in a way that's super unique to you, but that has really impacted the ministry and even myself a lot because you've taken on some responsibilities. I'm gonna let you tell us about it.
Yeah. So I think going back to what you're saying about, sharing about identity with word of mouth, I started to really enjoy that aspect of getting to talk to people about identity and tell them about the work they were doing. I was just so passionate about the impact that you guys are having in Honduras. And I'm a foster parent as well. And so I know the impact that family-based care can have on the life of a child. And so I just wanted everyone to know, like, this is the solution. This is what they are working to do. And, that talking people is how you spread the word and to be able to hopefully then spread to new donors and new engagements with people. And so was it about a year and a half ago, Tara, you were here and staying here in my house. And we just started talking about, how much I had enjoyed working with people and advocating, trying to get donors on board. And we just started talking about what it would look like to have someone really working with donors, engaging the donors in a new way. So we started doing, talking about surveys that we could send them to get to know our donors better, communicating with them, all of those kinds of things, keeping track of them and just letting them know that we care about them as people and the impact that Identity Mission can have also on their life, not just the impact they can have on Identity's life. And then even from there, we've moved on to talking about sponsorship and like new programs and new ways just to get donors involved. Because I think there's just a really big importance of when you have a nonprofit that's not located in the States, major donors are here, right? How you connect them so that they can feel like they're a part of it and an integral part of it. And so we're kind of walking it day by day. It's new and we're figuring it out, right?
Right. We are. But I just want to note, that like those surveys, this is all the brainchild of Laura, like the surveys, the sponsorship. Sorry, I have a fly flying around me. These things literally wouldn't be happening if Laura hadn't said, hey, I love this type of activity, donor engagement, looking at how to, help them increase their advocacy and things like that. And like literally just took ownership and said, hey, let's do this. And so we just, keep having these little team meetings. Laura's totally volunteer, and she just kind of took her little niche and what she was passionate about and developed something that has super benefited identity and identities partners, because we're getting to hear their voice more. And like she said, we don't have a staff in the states doing donor engagement. I was doing a lot from here and obviously doing other stuff, so just swamped. And this is an area that needed to be developed. And so grateful the Lord sent Laura. So grateful she loves creating surveys. Like just maybe doesn't love it, but is willing, I don't know. But just taking that knowledge that she was having, especially from a donor perspective, and what more would I want as a donor involved in an organization, and just created this.
And I think you're right about, I was thinking that creating donor surveys and emailing lots and lots of donor surveys is not maybe the most exciting aspect of ministry work. However, I do want to say that at the end of it, every single time, I always leave, when I sit down to do identity work, I always leave feeling like it rejuvenated and full of joy, because it does bring me a lot of happiness to be able to do something that I think can have an impact. And it's small, and it doesn't feel like, I'm not the one training foster parents, and I'm not the one doing the foster care work or whatnot there. But I do think that if you can just find your little niche that is important, it can bring you just as much satisfaction in your walk through the process.
So true. Good word for everybody. And just leading into that, so to put you on a spot a little bit, how else do you have another idea in your head? How else could identity staff serve better our donors? Have you thought about that for?
I mean, I was thinking about this from an advocate perspective initially, when you did something last week that was really encouraging to me, when you sent me a voice memo saying like, hey, this is something really cool that happened today. It's not like directly related to the work you're doing, but it's like in and around the same realm. And it encouraged me to like keep going. Sometimes I think things can get hard. And so I think and this is maybe not for donors in general, but for your advocates, I think when sometimes you don't see all the wins, right? We're not in the day-to-day. You and Jorge, Tara, and Eric, all of your staff are in it day in, day out. You see and hear everything little good and thing that is coming from the work. And so I think sometimes volunteers might not get all of that. And so I think being able to hear that little story was so encouraging to me. So I think that is really great. And then what are more ways that identity can connect with their donors? I don't know. I keep thinking about potential like virtual connections like this one. This 2020 world has taught us that, we don't have to be together to be together. And so I wonder, how we could connect our donors maybe in the future through like Zoom calls where Tara and Jorge get on and share with us about what's going on, and donors can get on, and connect with you. So you don't have to be in 15 different states in the United States, sharing. You can just talk to me. That would be cool, maybe.
I mean, in all honesty, we would love that, because a lot of the advocates we meet on mission trips, or maybe at churches we get to have a deep relationship with in the States, and once a year when we're home in the States. But other than that, we don't really stay connected. Everybody's lives are busy. So in all honesty, we would love that too. Like just a moment to keep that up and share.
Donors, even maybe people who aren't serving in any other way other than donating, which is so important. If you got on and got to tell some cool stories, there's so many cool things going on. And I think that's where a lot of my passion and fire was like birthed out of, was being walking in relationship with Eric and Steven and being able to see so closely the amazing work that y'all were doing. And I know you're able to share some things on social media and whatnot, but just being able to be close to it really like helped me to feel more passionate about it.
Awesome. Well, we'll go ahead. I love you. I love it.
Okay, let's do it.
We'll go ahead and stick out that invitation. Laura, just open it up, invitation to virtual hangout. So just message me, stick it in the comments under this, and we'll make a virtual hangout, talk about identity, talk about life. Just, we would love that too. It's getting a little lonely. Honduras is still very shut down. We're still very much in our houses. So now and here on forwards. There's ongoing invitation. Maybe we'll try to think of something formal to stick up to, but feel free to jump on and say something. Anybody that liked that idea for a virtual hangout. Great idea. I have heard that kind of swing back around. Yeah.
We got a lot of things cooking.
Right. And the Lord's timing is always perfect, which I love. So open door there, open invitation. I like it. So I did have another question. We do have a little bit more time, Laura. At the beginning of this advocacy journey, so to speak, for this series, we posted my little advocacy sheet, and you could download it and stuff. And we kind of based it on Acts 1:8. So while our interviews and everything really are focused in on Identity Mission, which is a global partnership for our advocates, we did want to bring in that full perspective of the Great Commission that says, in my hometown, in my nation, and to the uttermost parts of the earth, right? Like kind of the areas Jesus seemed to zone in on when he gave us that verse. And so what would you say is your Judea, Samaria? We know what your global is. Do you have a hometown ministry that you really are either already zoned in on, or maybe this series has challenged you to zone more in on in your neighborhood, and then maybe even in your state? Do you have anything that you'd want to share with everybody?
Everything is so weird. Everything is so weird right now in this season, because so many things that we are doing or that we're passionate about is looking different, right, in this season. One thing that I'm definitely super passionate about is student ministry. I have served with students for a long time now, and my girls that I started with are seniors in high school. Started with them in 7th grade.
Sweet.
Crazy. But I definitely have a heart for them and students I'm a teacher. So also we have a Christian organization at our school that my friend and I run. It's kind of like youth group, but at school, and our school has said, yes, we could do it. And so it's awesome. And those are kind of our two local things that I'm really have been deep diving into here. Something that I would be interested in looking at in our city a little bit more, or maybe even in our state, is what it looks like to find organizations that are coming alongside parents or families that are struggling in a way kind of like Identity does through their family preservation program. Because through Identity, I think my eyes were open to how much you can prevent with kids coming into care if you come alongside the family. And I do think there are organizations doing that. But I think there's right now tons of people think foster care, and they think, how can we support the foster families and the foster parents, which is really nice. And as a foster parent myself, I'm very grateful, but I also think we should be providing a lot of that support and a lot of those services that we're giving to foster parents to biological families that just need a little extra help. And so I think looking to the future, I would love to try to find a way to get into that a little more and try to see how we could come alongside families before they, have to have their family broken apart.
Right. That's amazing. And I mean, in all honesty, for me too, the family preservation aspect of orphan care is probably the most important.
Yeah.
To build and to focus on. I hope that comes across the right way. Obviously, foster care, we can't do without it. But if the more and more we get to the root cause of what's causing the family breakup, the more we can provide the solutions that will therefore mean we don't need another foster family or whatnot. And so I just think that is super critical. And I think it's maybe I don't know if I want to say the hardest work, but maybe the most complicated.
Yeah.
Because it's not it's not a cookie cutter answer, because every family is different. It takes so much.
It's super hard. You have to step into the mess. And it comes with a lot of mess, and I think the issues can be different from family to family. It's not always just poverty here. It could be substance abuse or, gang involvement or mental health issues. And so there's just a lot of pieces, and it's hard and it's messy. But I think if it's done well and with a sincere face of love, then it can work. I think you can see that through Identity. I think Identity is doing it really well. And I think we have some things to learn from you here in the States.
Thank you. And vice versa. I said E as in Spanish. E vice versa. All right. So thank you. Our time's up. Loved having you, Laura, on our Tuesday talk. We've got 2 more coming up. So everybody keep listening, and we'll keep just being inspired by the stories around us. Thank you.
Thank you.